Aside from Horus Lupercal, who transcended even Daemonhood and became an actual conduit for the 4 Chaos Gods, there were only ever 6 Daemon Primarchs. So Conrad, Curze and Alpharius Omegon never ascended into Daemonhood, even though they are considered traitors, and of course they are dead now. So from the remaining 6 who have fully accepted Daemonhood, which is the most powerful? So we will try our best to arrange it as per the lore, as to who has defeated whom, and who has an advantage over who in combat and, in comparison amongst martial prowess. So let's take a look. At number 6 we have Lorgar Aurelian. The Urizen is one of the most complex and tragic figures amongst the 20 Primarchs. Unlike his more militaristic siblings, Lorgar was not really a warrior. He was a philosopher, a scholar, and above all, a deeply spiritual being. Physically, Lorgar was not the most imposing of the Primarchs. While he was still a demigod of war like his brothers, he lacked the raw savagery of Angron, the cold precision of Dawn, the martial mastery of Sanguinius, nor the logistics of, Guilliman. Instead, Lorgar's strength lies in his presence, his words and master TED Talks that could shake entire civilizations to the core. After the heresy, and through countless atrocities, Lorgar achieved his long-sought ascension, rising to become a demon prince of chaos. Yet despite this newfound divinity, Lorgar withdrew from the material realm, retreating back into the Templum Infritio on the demon world of Sicarius. However, his self-imposed exile after long millennia was briefly broken when the Word-Bearers faced an unnatural predator hunting them through the warp. This being was ultimately revealed to be Corvus Corax, the Primarch of the Raven God, who was hunting Lorgar and had become some sort of a warp-infused being, and he has vowed to kill the Word-Bearer Demon Primarch, Lorgar. And so this sent Lorgar into retreat, hiding even in deeper regions of the warp. But as of now, he is rumored to have returned to real space, at the head of a massive, nearly unbroken Word-Bearers Legion. So he is gonna be a real threat in the near future. So Lorgar is often considered the weakest Demon Primarch for several reasons. Despite his immense power and influence as a demonic prince of chaos undivided, Lorgar was never really a warrior first. He was a scholar, philosopher, a spiritual leader. Daemonhood amplifies a Primarch's power immensely, and if Lorgar spent thousands of years isolated on Sicarius, he may have become stronger, but the amplifications might amplify something else like his psychic powers. However, the key issue is that he does nothing with the strength which is given. While being a demon prince of chaos undivided, theoretically it grants Lorgar favor from all 4 gods, but it also meant that he lacks a singular patronage that provides other demon primarchs with overwhelming power. Perhaps the most damning evidence of Lorgar's weakness was that he was defeated or forced to flee from Corvus Corax. Though Corax had been mutated by the warp, he was still not a demon primarch, yet he was able to defeat Lorgar and send the Word-Bearer Demon Primarch into hiding. So going to number 5, we have Magnus the Red. He is one of the most powerful beings in Warhammer 40,000. Don't ever get that wrong. He is a beast, yet he often falls short when it truly matters. As the Primarch of the Thousand Suns and a Demon Primarch of Tzeentch, his mastery over psychic powers is unparalleled, making him a terrifying force in any situation. However, despite his immense warp fuel abilities, he consistently suffers setbacks, particularly when facing well-prepared opponents or overwhelming force. So unlike his fellow Demon Primarchs, Magnus has complete mastery over the warp and can travel between the immaterium and real space with ease. He can also manifest himself in varying sizes, expanding to massive proportions in battle when needed. Unlike Angron or Mortarion, who are built for brutal melee combat, Magnus relied heavily or almost entirely on his psychic prowess. He was never one of the more physically dominant Primarchs, and even in his Demon Prince form, he is not a close combat juggernaut. So he was barely able to hold himself against Guilliman, so that says something. And so against someone like Angron or Mortarion, Fulgrim and even Perturabo, his warp-based attacks would only get him so far, especially failing against Angron, who is immune to it thanks to Khorne. He has also been consistently defeated by Space Marine forces, so that's why he is on the 5th spot. So next at number 4 we have Angron. This guy is without a doubt the most physically powerful of all Demon Primarchs. His sheer size, brute strength, and combined with the blessings of Khorne makes him an unstoppable force in melee combat. However, his overwhelming rage and lack of tactical discipline limits his effectiveness compared to some of his more cunning or versatile brothers. Among the Demon Primarchs, Angron stands as the absolute pinnacle of raw physical might. Even before his ascension, he was already amongst the strongest of the Primarchs, rivaling Leman Russ and Vulcan in sheer brute strength. As a Demon Prince, his power has only been increased much more, making him a near unstoppable force in battle. Unlike his mortal form, though, Demon Angron has massive bat-like wings that grants him the ability of flight. He also wields two massive weapons blessed by Khorne, and these are capable of tearing through almost anything in his path. And due to his immunity to psychic powers, he would utterly annihilate powerful psychics like Magnus the Red, whose greatest advantage is neutralized by Angron's sheer resistance to warp trickery, again thanks to Khorne. However, Angron's greatest weakness is his mind. Unlike Perturabo, Lorgar, or Magnus, he has no real tactical or strategic foresight. His rage is fueled by Khorne, and the Butcher's Nails prevent him from thinking twice in the heat of battle. He was once beaten by Perturabo, the master strategist of the Iron Warriors, in the book Slaves to Darkness. Here Perturabo fought with brains and brawn, as opposed to Angron's soul, brawn, and berserker fury. Angron was again defeated by Sanguinius, who used brains to counter the overwhelming physical advantage of the Red Angel. So you see the trend here. The Lion also did the same in the recent Arc of Omens campaign. And while he could technically beat Fulgrim in a fistfight, the Demon Primarch of Slaanesh is a master of swordsmanship and really cunning. In a proper duel, Fulgrim's speed, precision, and skill would eventually allow him to overcome Angron's brute strength. So clearly you can see why we put Angron in the 4th spot here. So at number 3 we have Fulgrim. The Demon Primarch of the Emperor's Children is one of the most powerful and terrifying Chaos-aligned beings. His transformation into a Demon Prince of Slaanesh has made him nearly invulnerable, almost impossibly fast, and the greatest swordsman amongst his kind. That and his now utterly disgusting serpentine form with 4 arms gives him a lot of advantage in melee combat. His abilities would easily place him in the top 3 of the most powerful Demon Primarchs, though his own arrogance and lack of focus due to the pursuit of pleasure above all holds him back from absolute dominance. First of all, Fulgrim's healing factor is absurdly potent, even before, and now even more as a Demon Primarch. He has survived weapons that could easily destroy entire planets, recover from wounds that would obliterate lesser beings. So while Angron is the strongest and Magnus the most psychically gifted, Fulgrim is unmatched in swordsmanship. No other Primarch can match his skill with a blade. Well, aside from Curze, Sanguinius, and the Lion, to be honest. Anyway, he has slain Ferrus Manus in the past, semi-killed Rebooted Guilliman, and can outfight any of his demon brothers in a one-on-one duel. As of quite recently, Fulgrim has returned to the 42nd millennium and is actively leading an attack on the Ultramarines. So that's the new lore. Anyway, back to the Demon Primarch. Despite being one of the most powerful, Fulgrim was put in his place by Perturabo during the events of Angel Exterminatus during the Horus Heresy. But this too could have maybe been just an act, as Fulgrim did say he surpassed Perturabo in every possible way, just right after getting that beating, which could have meant that Fulgrim was actually savoring that as a moment of delight. And so despite his flaws, Fulgrim remains amongst the most powerful, due to his nearly unkillable nature, unmatched swordsmanship, and if not for his arrogance and lack of focus, he could arguably be the single deadliest of his brothers. But he always loses interest in battle, and as often as he does, he goes elsewhere to pursue other things. And so in such a case, a being such as Angron would supersede him and take the 3rd spot. Now we come to number 2. Perturabo is the Demon Primarch of the Iron Warriors. He is known for his combination of physical strength, strategic brilliance, and technological mastery that places him amongst the top of the Demon Primarchs. His ability to endure and adapt in combat, coupled with his relentless pursuit of perfection in warfare, makes him a force to be reckoned with. His ascension to Daemonhood is still one of the most confusing and mysterious things to happen, since right from the start he hated being tied down with chaos and instead chose absolute logic. Anyway, for some reason, Perturabo became a Demon Primarch, and now he possesses immense strength and speed, way over what he had when he was still just a regular Primarch. so this enabled him to engage in close combat with even more strength and power. And even before that, he was a beast to behold. He confronted the Demon Primarch Angron during the events described in Slaves to Darkness, and despite Angron's ferocity and power, Perturabo ultimately bested him. In the novel Angel Exterminatus, which was during the Horus Heresy, Perturabo confronted his brother Fulgrim, and despite Fulgrim's known deadliness, he still managed to humble him and made him temporarily fall in line with the battle plans in the Heresy. However, more recently during the War of Rust and Ruin, Perturabo faced Mortarion, the Demon Primarch of the Death God. This protracted duel lasted around 7 hours, with both sides incurring heavy damage to each other and heavy casualties amongst their troopers. Ultimately, Mortarion's use of contagions and plagues turned the tide, forcing Perturabo to retreat, and thus Perturabo lost to Mortarion, which now meant that he is on the second spot. And so of course, as you can guess, the number 1 spot goes to Mortarion. He is the Demon Primarch of the Death God Legion, having ascended to his position after turning to Chaos during the Horus Heresy. His transformation under the patronage of Grandfather Nurgle, the Chaos God of Decay and Disease, has endowed him with formidable abilities. As any follower of Nurgle, especially a Demon Prince and a Primarch at that, he is renowned for his exceptional durability, capable of withstanding immense pain and damage that would incapacitate lesser beings, even beings that are in his own league. As Nurgle's chosen, Mortarion wields a plethora of deadly diseases and contagions. His presence alone spreads debilitating plagues, weakening his enemies even before he can come close to them. Notably, he possesses the Godblight, a pathogen capable of killing Primarch-level beings, as it did with Guilliman. And side note, Guilliman was only saved by the grace of the Emperor. And so this brings us back to the War of Rust and Ruin, which was a catastrophic battle between the 2 Demon Primarchs, Mortarion of the Death God and Perturabo of the Iron Warriors. It was fought over the Temple of Ascension on Dysactus, a world that held significant value to the forces of Chaos. While both were powerful in their own right, Mortarion ultimately emerged victorious, forcing Perturabo to retreat in humiliation. Mortarion's win over Perturabo elevates him above many of the other Demon Primarchs, especially when considering the domino effect of the Demon Primarchs' previous battles against each other. See, Perturabo defeated Angron in Slaves to Darkness. He also humbled Fulgrim in Angels Exterminatus, which puts, at the very least, Perturabo above Angron and Fulgrim, as by the wins achieved. And since we have established that Lorgar is at the bottom, and that Angron can defeat Magnus due to his immunity towards psychic powers, we now here have a clear hierarchy in the win rate ratios and ranking in power scaling for the Demon Primarchs. So in a nutshell, Lorgar Aurelian is at the bottom, and then Magnus is above him in the 5th spot, then Angron at the 4th spot, who is physically the strongest but mentally far behind. See, Magnus and Lorgar can still outsmart Angron too, but I doubt if they had the combat ability needed to put down the Red Beast, and Angron is said to have immunity against psychic powers, so that puts him above Lorgar and Magnus. Okay, so Fulgrim has the 3rd spot over Angron, but this is still debatable. Perturabo is a jack of all trades and has won over Angron, Fulgrim, and thus could beat the others too. But he was outdone by Mortarion's powers and Blight, which are overabundantly blessed by Nurgle, and thus that puts Mortarion at the top spot. Now, if you like this video, then check this other one too, and if you want to browse for other sci-fi and Warhammer content, then check out our channel. So subscribe and like for support. Till next time, take care, boys!